Ukraine's central regions, Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk, have come under what officials have described as a massive attack, with explosions and strikes. Local officials say at least one person has been killed, 24 others injured. Several buildings, homes, businesses have been destroyed. It's the second successive night that Dnipropetrovsk have been targeted. The region's also facing attacks from Russian ground forces. Our correspondent Katie Watson is in Kyiv with the latest.
Overnight here in Kyiv, air raid sirens went off late last night. They were in place until early this morning. They ended, they started up again. In fact, most of the country was warned of drone and missile threats overnight. But as you said, it was the central and southeastern parts of Ukraine that really bore the brunt of the strike. So in Zaporizhia, at least one person has died, several injured. The rescue workers and emergency services are trying to put out fires on damaged houses, and it's reported that 25,000 people are without power after those strikes. And in Dnipropetrovsk, as you said, a second night of strikes on cities there, and it comes after just a few days after Kyiv acknowledged that Russian troops on the ground had entered some settlements in the region in what they call the first large-scale attack in the region, because of course it's not one of the regions that Russia claims as its own territory. So clearly, it's difficult on the ground. We've had airstrikes as well, and President Zelensky has condemned these latest attacks, saying that Russia once again shows its utter disregard for words, and we count on real action, accusing Russia of preparing these strikes instead of preparing for a leaders' meeting to try and end the war.
Yeah, Katie, we heard just yesterday from the White House that Donald Trump is apparently still pursuing this idea of this one-on-one meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and we have timescales imposed by Donald Trump nearly up when it comes to things like ceasefire and peace talks. So what do you make of where things stand on the diplomatic front right now?
Yeah, so Donald Trump imposed a two-week deadline. In fact, President Zelensky was asked about this yesterday at a briefing, and he said that deadline expires on Monday, and we will be reminding people. But there have been several deadlines imposed; those have passed. There's been a flurry of diplomatic talks. We've heard that we've seen Russia continue to attack here and cause strikes in Ukraine. So clearly, there doesn't seem to be an appetite to end the fighting. In fact, that Russia has said they will continue to strike, especially on energy infrastructure and military targets, because that will to try and slow Ukraine's response. It doesn't look like there's any appetite to sit down, certainly on Russia's side of things. They've said, we've heard Sergei Lavrov say that unless there's an agenda, then they're not going to sit down. So President Zelensky has made it clear that that's needed and that he's prepared for that. But it doesn't look likely that that's going to happen any time soon, despite Donald Trump's initial promises of a leaders' meeting and promises that he can help end the war.
Thanks to Katie for that.